Davis in third, Jack Luxon in fourth, and Cody Emmans in your top five. 2 down, 6 remaining. They're at Cedar Lake. Wayne Dean leading it. Last time by.
Welcome to the CLS show. I'm Marty Gallagher here with Cody Emmans, driver of Pro Stock.
Yep.
You're at obviously Cedar Lake Speedway. A lot of time at Cedar Lake Speedway over the years. Traditional sprints is kind of your beginning. Did you ever race go-karts or anything else before hopping in that traditional sprint?
Yeah, I raced dirt bikes for a little bit, and then I also raced snowcross when I was like younger. But I raced dirt bikes up until I was on 85s, which I think was, I want to say I was like 12 or 13.
Okay.
And then I raced snowmobiles probably until I was 10 or so. But we used to go to Canterbury and stuff like that and hang out. And Dad used to race the I-500.
Okay.
So he kind of got me roped into racing that way, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So.
What'd you think of that? I mean, that's got to be pretty wild. Did you ever run at Canterbury, the big track when they had the ice on the backstretch or any of that?
No.
Or just on the small, I mean, not smaller, but did you ever run at Canterbury, the snowcross there?
Yeah, but it was the regional.
Okay.
It was when I was on 120 stock.
I get you.
I never moved up because the 120 champ sleds were like 5 or 10 grand.
Yeah.
People had 5 or 10 grand put in there,
Mm-hmm.
or put in their sleds. So.
And you being a North Metro guy, said Blaine High School?
Yeah, I went to Blaine.
Blaine. So did you ever run at ERX in Oak River, or was that a thing? I can't remember. I mean, it's a newer place now, but did you ever have a regional there?
No, I never raced there, but me and Dad did a two-man race there on one of his old I-500 sleds, so that was kind of fun.
That's pretty good. And speaking of your old man, obviously being around motorsports, was he also into oval stuff, or do you have friends or family, or how did you get really tied into saying, hey, let's build this traditional sprint? Or did you always end up at the track at different times?
Well, Dad took me to Cedar Lake probably in 2006 or 2008. Me and him were talking about it today. We couldn't really remember. But, yeah, we were sitting right on the front stretch, not too far away from where the flag stand was.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked right at him, and I was like, one day I'm going to race out here. And he laughed at me and said, you better grow that money tree. So...
So here with Cody Emmans, make sure you like and subscribe on the CLS show for us. What made you decide all of a sudden, hey, let's go do this traditional sprint?
Well, it's kind of a longer story, I guess.
Hey, we got time.
I used to play Xbox, the
Okay.
old World of Outlaw 2011 sprint car game,
Mm-hmm.
because I went to Princeton the year that the Outlaws were there in 2011, and that really is what hooked me in.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, with the going in 2006 or 2008, whatever, that was cool.
Yeah.
But the 2011 show really got me hooked in. So I met my buddy Brian Van Meveren, aka the Dragon, whatever.
Yeah.
Met him. We linked up on Xbox, and he's like, "Oh, I'm from Minnesota." I was like, "Real? No way." So I was like, "Do you need a crew guy or something, or what's up?" So, yeah, I met him at Elko for his first race back in 2012, 2013, I want to say.
And that would have been, Elko as an asphalt track, but for a couple seasons they put down dirt for a little bit of time and had some sprint car shows.
Yeah, and it was when the Outlaws were there.
Yep.
But I just basically walked up to him and said, hi, and then he's like, I'm Cody, I'm Brian, nice to meet you, whatever. And then later on during that season, I went to help him at St. Croix.
Okay.
And, I mean, I was basically hooked ever since. So.
Awesome. So then you go back to your dad and be like, hey, I got to find a money tree here to try to build this traditional sprint, or how did that conversation go, or how did you get that ball rolling?
Johnny Parsons is the third, JP3.
Yep.
He had an extra car that was already built.
Okay.
And he's like, hey, if you ever want to rent this, give me a holler.
Yeah.
So I was really pushing in on mom and dad, like, hey, we can rent this thing.
Yeah.
And eventually they gave in, which was nice.
Yeah.
So
how old were you when you first started your first traditional sprint race or week, like season, I guess it would be? But like obviously you hopped in the car probably a few times before you went full time with it. But like when you first hopped in that traditional sprint, how old were you?
I want to say I was 19 or 20.
Okay.
Because I think I've been racing for 6 years now. I'm not
Awesome.
really sure.
No, hey, it's probably a good thing if it can all just blend together. That means you're still at the track all the time.
Oh yeah, no.
But so then you're in the traditional sprint. How many years did you run that car?
I want to say it was 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, because I raced the 1 year we rented for a full season from Johnny.
Mhm.
Then we bought the car, and I think we raced it again one more season.
Okay. Perfect. And then from there, you move on to the Pro Stock. Some people call it Super Stock. Pro Stock, obviously, it's Clear Lake Speedway. What made you decide, hey, this is going to be a great spot for us? I mean, obviously, there's so many divisions you can choose from on the dirt racing sanctioning bodies, tracks, and this and that. I mean, there's so many different divisions out there. Why'd you guys decide to go that way?
Our buddy Mike Frolic, he helps out Shane, and Shane Sobraski, and he said, hey, Shane's got this extra car, and if you want to come drive it and see what you think.
Mm-hmm.
So we went up to Granite City in St. Cloud, and I tested it once, and I was like, man, this thing's cool.
Yeah.
I was like, well, can I keep doing it? But they gave me a couple sessions, and Mike went out there because Mike used to race, and yeah, I was like, this thing's cool. So we decided to change things up and jump in the super stock.
And then obviously Shane Sobraski, the Frolic name that a lot of racing fans have recognized through the last handful of years. How did you get tied in with them? I mean, did you know them as family friends, or did you know them just as, hey, we see them at the racetrack and just started talking to them?
Well, Dad met Mike at a vintage snowmobile show. Dad's got a 1980 Centurion with a 650 in it.
Okay.
Instead of the normal 500. And he was racing Mike and his buddies, and they were like, no way, you're not that fast. You're not that, like, a 500's not that fast. And they had, like, Starfires and stuff like that. But that's how they got hooked up. And come to find out later on, Mom graduated with Mike from Anoka.
Okay. So that's where you get some of those racing connections. Obviously, it doesn't have to be at the dirt track. It could be at the snowmobile races as well. Have you ever raced one of those vintage sleds?
No, but I've done the radar run on some of the older stuff, or not necessarily vintage, but it's like 91, 92.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
That's vintage for a lot of us.
Right.
No. Fast forward now to the Pro Stock. What have you thought of it? I mean, you've a couple seasons in now, I believe. How many seasons have you been behind the wheel of the Pro Stock?
2 or 3.
Yeah, exactly. We're just throwing those out there, right? Obviously, it's a big change from the traditional sprint. But how have you felt, like when you first hopped in it? Did it take you a lot of laps to be like, hey, I can hone this in? Or, like, halfway through the season, you're like, hey, I really like this. Like, I can see me running this for a few years.
I guess it never really, I never really made a, conscious decision.
Yeah.
It just kind of flew in one way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds kind of dumb.
No,
But
it's a little bit natural.
yeah, basically. But I knew right when I got in the car, I was like, oh, I feel like I could maybe do some damage in this thing. And
Yeah. And you've had some pretty good success at Cedar Lake Speedway. What's one of the nights in the Pro Stock now that were like, hey, that was like the funnest night I've had out there? And maybe there's been a few.
Well, winning my first feature there, that was really cool.
Yeah.
That was getting my only feature win, but it was something I didn't expect, and it was a double 5,000 to win. So 5,000 to win for the mods, 5,000 to win for the late models, and there was a lot of people there.
Yeah.
And when I got out of the car, I was like, yeah, and then all of a sudden you hear ah, I was like, whoa, that's new.
That's awesome. What was that during like Dash for Cash type of season? Was it the middle of the summer, or what? Do you remember what race night it was? It was just one of the special shows.
Sometime in July.
Yeah,
I can't remember the exact date.
Yep, Cedar Lake Speedway, which they continue through 2023 this year. Again, make sure you like and subscribe for us, CLS show. Thanks, Cody, for coming along tonight.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and you've had other races, not obviously Cedar Lake Speedway has been one of your homes with this car, but you've had fun at other tracks. What's some of the other tracks that you like to run at?
I like Ogilvy. I like really dry, slick, slow. That's more my style.
Yeah.
Whenever I see black on a track, I'm like, ooh, yay, this is gonna be fun.
Yeah. And then crew guys, it sounds like your mom and dad, I know, and I've seen them, they help you out. Do you have a lot of other people helping you out throughout the season, or do people come and go, or who helps you get to the track sponsor-wise, but who also helps you out in the pits?
Well, it's mostly just family. So
Yeah.
Mom and dad help out, or they do work on the car too.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes my aunt and uncles will come.
Yeah.
And they will help out also, which is really nice because
Yeah.
then I can actually keep an eye on the track, see what it's doing,
Mm-hmm.
and if we got to make any setup changes, we can do that. And no, it's mostly just them and my little cousin Savannah. She's addicted. So,
Perfect. Get those young kids reeling back in. That's perfect. Sponsors wise, I've seen your car. It's a beautiful car. What's some of the sponsors that you have? Obviously, you have, like I said, it's a beautiful 33C. So, we can shout out some of your sponsors. I know, obviously, Cedar Lake Speedway. They get to go see you race there on Saturday nights.
Yeah. Well, V-Brock Performance. Obviously, Chase is here. So.
Hey, I'm glad you remembered that one. That's a good one to remember.
Good start.
No, Kevin's awesome. Kevin and Pam and the whole V-Brock family. They're like our family, basically. Or
Mhm.
that's what I think. And
That's a family in racing. That's a big point.
oh yeah, they've obviously been around Cedar Lake for a long time, and it's really cool to have them on the car. Express Tech Services, Butch Anderson. He's sponsored Chain for a long time.
Okay.
And this was actually his car that he owned when Mike drove it and Shane drove it, and I think Dexton Cook. He drove
yep.
it too, and Timmy. So it's got plenty of people
Yeah.
that have driven it. So, let's see. Excel Hardwood Floors, Troy Huddlestead. They're our family friends. They try to come out to the races as much as they can,
Mm-hmm.
and they do really good hardwood floors. So if you guys ever need hardwood floors,
Perfect. Where are they located? Like North Metro, West, East,
Oak
all
Grove.
over? Oak Grove?
yeah.
Excellent.
Scott's Garage. He's in North Branch now, but
Mhm.
if you ever need any fab work done, he helps us out on our car, and
So when you get it banged up, you have to bring it to Scott's Garage.
sometimes, yeah. Highland Money Management, David and Annie Johnson. They help us with our money management, obviously, but they do a great job. They're our family friends also. So, but yeah, they're really cool. RTS Podcast. They're Mark Marioff, Mike Mueller.
Mm-hmm.
They're Mark and Mike in the morning. They're something else. That's
Yeah,
for
they're quite
sure.
characters. So
Yeah.
They're characters for sure.
Feed him a couple seats under. My cousin Frank, he does mosquitoes, spray for mosquitoes and stuff like that. And he's my cousin, so he knows what he's doing. He does it with my grandma's every year and all that. Built 2 Media, Blake, Gunner, Ben, Wittes, that whole crew is really cool. Their podcast is amazing, just like how RTS is and stuff like that. Who else? Racing Today, Tim Shingen. He does a letter, or he writes up and tries to update what's going on in NASCAR every weekend, and he's actually like a NASCAR journalist.
Okay. Cool.
And it's cool that he sponsored the car, and it's cool to have like somebody that's a NASCAR journalist actually on the car, you know. Let's see here. BC Photography, Blake Christensen. This is gonna be a lot of. It's way too dragged.
I got a picture of your back panels.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, BC Photography, Blake Christensen. He takes sick photos and He's a really good friend, so it's cool to have him on the car. 828 Media, Todd Ellefson. He also does really good pictures and videos and stuff like that. He edits my YouTube videos for me. Lets me use pictures when I need to. And we've got some very cool stuff in the works for driver cards and stuff for next
Awesome.
year. So
Perfect.
let's see here. Fast Shafts, Pat Fagan. You guys are like, oh no, right?
No, that's great.
All right. Yeah, Pat Fagan. He's
As long as we're not going to be here for the next hour.
No.
So, I mean,
I only got a couple more left. I promise.
we need the Grammy music. The Grammy music will start playing right now. No, it's great to have sponsors. Continue. I mean,
Okay.
that's what gets you to the track.
You paid to even get in the races for
Let's see. Yeah, Fast Shafts. Pat Fagan. He, whenever I text him if we need something, he'll help us out. Or I don't know. He's just a really cool guy. And we actually met him through the Dirt Show, which is our other sponsor, Clayne Dusick.
Mm-hmm.
He's a sponsor of JP3 and also many other traditional sprint car drivers.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously, I know he's based out of Owatonna area, so obviously JP3 being based out of Owatonna as well, so that makes sense.
I think I got two more left. Yeah. Gary and Charlene Wolf also sponsors the JP3. They're like family. I don't know. They were my first sponsor, and they've really done a lot just to cheer me on and help me out and stuff like that. If we ever call them, they'll be like, we'll be on the phone for a couple hours if we have to, or like just talking as friends,
Yeah.
And I think that's JDI Signs and Graphics, Andy Jones. He has my car looking sick every year. And
Which it is a really nice looking race car. I can tell you that. Speaking of race, I mean, so obviously you move from traditional sprints and you move to the pro stock division. Had there been moments in the traditional sprint or in the pro stock you're like, you know what, maybe this isn't for me. I can go back to be a crew guy. I know I've heard that story before. It's like, yeah, I raced for a couple years, but man, I really had fun helping this guy out. So I hang up the helmet and continue to do this. Were those moments ever happen? Or you're like, you know what? I love this. I'm gonna race this car.
Well, it happened it's happened a couple times. I was helping out Scotty Brandt at Princeton, and it was a ton of fun. And he ended up getting by Lure on the last lap.
Yeah.
And we were sitting in there was a red flag because Harry and Denny Stordahl got together,
Okay.
and Harry got upside down, I think it was.
All right.
And yeah, we were sitting under red flags. He's like, dude, I got this. And I said, he's like, I'm the Iceman. And I said, there's only one Iceman here, not Jimmy Mars. It's Scott Brandt.
And obviously that, one of those nights has been fun being a crew guy. Was there some nights that you've had a tough night racing and you're like, man, I don't know, we load the car up, or sometimes you have to like put the car together just to put it in the trailer. Were there nights that you're headed home and you're like, I don't know, maybe this isn't for me?
Yeah, there was one night at Ogilvy. It was during the Fast Lane series. I was in the back because I made the show, but the car wasn't that good. So I was kind of riding around in the back, and it got really dusty, and it was the final restart before the end of the race.
Mm-hmm.
And some guy, I can't remember what happened, some guy got sideways, and I just clobbered him real bad. And I can't remember what we broke, but I just remember sitting there like, yeah, I think I might just go back to pushing Johnny and Brian around.
And we fast forward. Obviously, you haven't done that, and you went out and won a feature last year at Cedar Lake Speedway, and your production has gotten better and better each time you've been out there. How has that change been? Like, what was there a turning point from like, hey, I'm kind of over here, where now you're like, hey, I feel pretty confident in this race car? Was it setup wise, or just more time in the race car, or what kind of has been that avenue that's headed to you to a different level in your racing?
Well, I would say Mike and Shane helping us out. I
Mhm.
mean, even from the beginning, they've always been a huge help, no matter what. And this year, this past year, it seems like the setup has just gotten so much better.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike's came over and helped out, and I've talked to Shane, whenever I see him, ask him questions or see what they're doing, and they've both just been a ton of help.
Looking forward to this season, you're going to spend a lot of time at Cedar Lake Speedway, I hope, right?
Yeah, Cedar Lake's gonna be the home track. You'll find us in pit stall number 1, right next to the house, right?
Marge's pit shack.
Yeah, right
Marge's
next to
Pit
Marge's
Shack.
pit shack.
It's like prime spot number 1.
Well, oh yeah, no, it's the best. So come see us. Like I said, 828 Media is gonna have some. We're working on some stuff that'll be really cool, and hopefully for Kids Night we can figure some really cool stuff out too.
As Chase, we were kind of talking earlier, obviously I know you're a Minnesota Wild fan. We got the playoffs happening right now. What's your expectations? Are we going to make it to the second round?
I hope so. But Seattle and Colorado, those are both very tough teams. So we'll see
a lot
how
of
it
teams in
goes.
the bracket. What did the Minnesota Wild have to do to knock Dallas out? Score more goals, I suppose, right?
Dumbo needs to keep hitting.
Dumba needs to be hitting.
Yeah.
I like it.
And Reeves needs to fight.
Yeah, we need to
Needs
get a
to-
Reeves fight, right?
yeah.
Did you make it to many Minnesota Wild games this year?
I went to one
Nice.
at the end, or actually it was when Krill came back.
Oh, that's a good night.
We went to the Twins game, and my uncle, who owns Ingenuity Concepts, who I work for, he's like, "Hey, do you want to go to the Wild game too?" I was like, "Well, it might be a little spendy, but I guess." So yeah, we got lower level seats, and it was really cool. Goudreau sniped one coming towards us, and that was really awesome.
Nice.
Got to meet some really cool people next to us. They were from Grand Forks, I think it was, and they came down just for the game and stuff. So
Perfect. You got Kid Cody here, Cody Emmans, driver of the Pro Stack Cedar Lake Speedway. Make sure you like and subscribe on the CLS show.
Very good.
Awesome.
Excellent job.
Thanks, man.
Nice job.
Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
thanks, Marty.
Yeah.